My mother smirked and called me a disappointment, asking, "Is it tough for you to give your sister cash for a house?" I forced a smile. The next day, I took my sister and her husband elsewhere, then visited my mom. When she laughed and branded me a failure again, I stayed quiet at first. I just grinned. She thought I was joking, that her words didn't sting, but they did. At 7 a.m. the following morning, I woke my sister and her husband, telling them to pack their things. For 8 months, they'd lived in my apartment, eating my food, using my electricity, and treating my place like a free hotel. Both were barely adults, yet they decided to marry without money, jobs, or a plan. Somehow, I ended up carrying the weight of their choices. My apartment wasn't big, just 2 bedrooms I'd worked hard to afford. When my sister and her husband first asked to stay, they swore it'd only be for a few weeks. They said they needed time to get settled. Weeks turned into months. Months became constant arguments, noise, and me footing their entire lifestyle. Nothing changed. When I brought up jobs, they always had excuses. My sister claimed she was waiting for the right opportunity. Her husband, Adam, acted like regular work was beneath him. Meanwhile, I paid for groceries, rent, utilities, everything. They didn't contribute a dime, and the worst part, they showed no appreciation. They stayed up all night playing video games, blasting music, and well, I overheard way too much from their room. Sleep became rare. Whenever I addressed it, they got defensive. "You're not helping us," my sister would snap. "We're family. Families support each other." I was supporting them for 8 months, and what did I get? Disrespect, rising bills, and constant stress. Then my mother came over. She hadn't visited much since they moved in. She and my stepfather lived comfortably in a nice house, wanting no part of my sister's mess. When she heard they needed a place to stay, she refused outright. "We don't have room," she lied. They had 2 extra bedrooms and plenty of money, but taking them in would mean spending that money, and my mother wouldn't have it. So the burden fell on me. That day, she sat on my couch, drinking coffee I made in the apartment I paid for, and dared to mock me. "Is it hard to give your sister money for a house?" she asked, as if I were the selfish one. I laughed at first, thinking it was a joke. It wasn't. She genuinely believed I should empty my savings and hand it to my sister and Adam to buy a house. Not rent, not a deposit, but a whole house. I stared, waiting for the catch. There wasn't one. "You're her brother," she pressed. "Why would you let her struggle?" That's when it hit me. She saw no problem with it. She thought my role was to make her life easier. She ignored the money I'd spent, my exhaustion, and how they were ruining my peace. I smiled and asked her to leave. The next morning at 7 a.m., I walked into my sister's room and flicked on the light. "Get up," I said. "Pack your stuff." They stirred, groggy and confused. "What?" my sister mumbled. "You're leaving," I replied. "To Mom's." At first they laughed, thinking I was joking. When I didn't laugh back, their faces changed. My sister got defensive. "We can't just go." "Where will we stay?" "I told you, Mom's." She looked at Adam, who rubbed his eyes like this was a bad dream, then back at me. "She won't let us stay." "Not my issue," I said. She begged for more time. I said no. Adam tried to act tough, but I shut him down. By noon, they'd packed their things into the car I'd bought them, and we were on our way to my mother's. What happened next? Let's just say my mom wasn't happy when they showed up. I parked in her driveway, turned off the engine, and said, "Go on." They didn't move. My sister folded her arms. "She won't take us," I shrugged. "That's between you and her." Adam fumed, but what could he do? Complain. I'd housed, fed, and even bought them that car, and how did they repay me? By doing nothing and acting entitled. I carried their bags to the doorstep and rang the bell. My mom opened the door, saw the bags, and glared at me. "What's this?" she demanded. I smiled. "They need a place. Like you said, they're young, they shouldn't struggle. And family helps, right?" My sister and Adam stepped forward, acting helpless. "Mom, can we—" "No," she cut them off. My sister stared. "What?" I said, "No, you're not staying." Adam ran a hand through his hair. "Where are we supposed to go?" Mom sighed, as if this were my fault. "Kyle, take them back. You know they can't stay." I laughed. "Not happening. They're your problem now." Then something unexpected happened. My stepfather, Mark, appeared behind her. He looked at the bags, then at Mom, then at me. "Why can't they stay?" he asked. Everyone froze. Mom spun around, shocked. "What? They're your kids," he said. "We have room." "Let them." Mom looked like she wanted to strangle him. "Mark, you don't get it." "No, I do," he cut in. "Kyle's taken care of them for 8 months. It's our turn." I'd never seen her so angry. She glared at me, my sister, then Mark. "They're jobless, lazy, they do nothing." Oh, now she understood. I smirked. "Sounds familiar, doesn't it?" Mark turned to them. "You can stay, but there's a condition. Both of you get jobs." Now Adam shifted uncomfortably. My sister hesitated. Mom was furious. This was going better than I'd planned, but the real show, still coming, panic flickered in my sister's eyes. Adam looked stunned, half expecting me to say, "Just kidding, come back." But I wasn't. Mark had offered a lifeline, a place to stay if they worked. A fair deal for two adults who'd done nothing for 8 months, yet my sister wavered. Adam squirmed. Mom, meanwhile, was seething. She pulled Mark aside, whispering angrily, her face twisted in fury. Mark listened, arms crossed, then replied quietly. I didn't need to hear it, I knew. After months of saying they had no space or money, Mark now thought it was fair to take them in. Mom hated that. I leaned against my car, waiting. She could argue all she wanted. It wasn't my problem anymore. She finally turned. You can't abandon her like this, Kyle. Actually, I said, I can. She clenched her jaw. They're your responsibility, I shrugged. They're your kids, my sister jumped in. So we can stay, Mark nodded. If you both get jobs. Adam paled as if work were a threat. This week. Mom clearly wouldn't challenge Mark without a scene. All right, I said, good luck. I drove off, feeling lighter than I had in months. Mom yelled after me, but I didn't care. For the first time in nearly a year, I was free, or so I thought. As I settled into bed, my phone buzzed. Over and over, I groaned and answered. What? My sister's voice shook with anger. Mom kicked us out, I blinked. What? She waited until you left. The second you were gone, she told Mark this wasn't happening and threw us out. I sat up. Mark said you could stay? Yeah, but Mom didn't. They fought badly. Now we're all out. I rubbed my temples. We Mark too. Yep, he called her unreasonable, so she told him to leave. This kept getting better. Let me get this straight, I said. Mom kicked all of you out? Yes. We're on the lawn now, nowhere to go. I had to see this. I grabbed my keys and drove back. When I arrived, shouting echoed from inside. My sister and Adam stood on the grass, arms crossed, watching the house like it was a drama unfolding. They ignored me as I walked up. How long's this been going on? My sister didn't look away. Since you left, Mom's sharp voice carried through the windows. I told you they don't live here, they never will. Mark's tone was steady. You're being unreasonable, they've got nowhere else. Mom laughed bitterly. Whose fault is that? Kyle's. The idiot who threw them out. I rolled my eyes. Of course she blamed me. Then Mark said something surprising. You just don't want them here because you won't spend money on them. Silence. Even my sister looked shocked. Mom exploded. Are you serious? Mark stood firm. Prove me wrong. Why is it okay for Kyle to support her but not you? I grinned. Good point, Mark. Mom hesitated. Footsteps stormed toward the door. My sister and Adam stepped back. The door flew open. Mom pointed at me. This is your fault. I crossed my arms. How? You turned Mark against me. I glanced at Mark, who looked drained. I didn't say anything, Mark sighed. Janet, they need help. Mom spun around. Then help them. Mark rubbed his temples. That's what I tried before you lost it and kicked us all out. That shut her up for a moment. Then something stranger happened. Mark turned to me. Can I stay with you for a few days? I nearly laughed. What? She kicked me out too. I won't beg to stay in my own house. I need space to think. I was floored. My stepfather, always Mom's biggest supporter, was asking me for a place to stay. And Mom, she snapped. You're choosing him over me? Mark stared coldly. I'm choosing reason. Then she did something wild. She stormed inside, grabbed a suitcase, and hissed, Fine, I'm leaving. We stared. Leaving? I echoed. She huffed. To my sisters, since no one here values me. She threw her suitcase into Mark's car and sped off. We stood there, stunned. My sister spoke first. Now what? Mark sighed. I need a ride. I was still processing. Mom had left. Like a spoiled kid. Are we chasing her? I asked. Mark exhaled. Yes, or she'll drag this out forever. I didn't argue. I just wanted it done. We drove to my aunt's house 20 minutes away. Mark stared quietly out the window. You okay? I finally asked. He chuckled drily. I married a maniac, I grinned. Took you long enough. He shook his head. I knew she was theatrical. Not this theatrical. At my aunt's, Mom's car was in the driveway. Through the window, I saw her ranting to my aunt. Mark sighed. Wait here. Gladly, I watched as he talked to Mom. She ranted, he listened. Then he said something. Mom froze, stared, leaned back nervously. Minutes later, she came out. Calm, subdued, a complete change. I rolled down the window. What did you say? Mark grabbed his wallet from my glove box. Told her if she ever did this again, I'd cut her off from my business. I blinked. Mark owned a successful construction company. Mom had no income, just his money. And it worked. He nodded. Instantly, Mom drove off without a glance. Mark thanked me and left. I drove home, oddly respecting my stepfather. For once, Mom wasn't in charge. That peace didn't last. My sister called last night, whispering. Mom tried kicking them out again while Mark was at work, but here's the twist. Mark came home early. He caught Mom mid-rant, suitcases half-packed. He lost it. "Do this again, you're the one leaving." And she did. Grabbed her purse and disappeared. No one knows where. Mark poured a drink and told my sister to ignore it. So now I'm eating popcorn, waiting to see if she comes crawling back. If you enjoyed this story and felt its emotions, please give it a like, share it with others, and follow for more real-life tales and heartfelt experiences. Your support means everything, and it helps us share more stories like this. Thanks for reading, and I'll see you in the next one.